Before we get into today's Chicago Bears mailbag, I want to remind you guys to subscribe. The 2021 season, it's over. It's done with. But rumors are heating up because the 2022 offseason is in full force. You got the combine going on. You got free agency around the corner, the draft. We'll have more videos every single day around the latest Chicago Bears news and rumors. So subscribe. Join us. Let's continue to grow this channel. Appreciate you guys tuning in to Chicago Bears Now. I am your host, Harrison Graham. Load up those questions by using hashtag Bears or Super Chat, and we'll answer as many as we can on today's show. Sean the Savage, thoughts of Rashaan Evans or Jaylon Brown or even Kwon Alexander for a linebacker? I wouldn't mind it if it's cheap. And, I don't think in free agency you'll see the Bears invest heavily in an off-ball linebacker because you got Roquan Smith. He's probably going to get extended. A guy like Kwon Alexander, if he's healthy, intrigues me as like a cheap second off-ball guy. When he's been healthy, he's been a good player in the NFL. So I think that's definitely a possibility. Matthew Lane, David Bell, a better prospect than Williams from Alabama, hashtag Bears. Jameson Williams, I would probably like more because he's a pure speedster, but I think he's going to go round one, so I didn't mention him. Plus, he's coming off injury, so we're not going to see him at the combine, so I didn't mention him in our players to watch at the combine. But if he's there at 39, Jameson Williams, I would absolutely take him. Ethan Eli, do you think Fields has any say in who he wants in the draft or in free agency? I'm sure, he might mention input or thoughts, but, he's a second-year quarterback. It's a new regime. It's not like Fields can go into Ryan Poles' office and be like, you need to draft this guy or else. He doesn't have that pull. But I'm sure that there's some open conversation of, especially if it's an Ohio State guy, if Ryan Poles is like, hey, what do you like about Chris Olave? Then Justin Fields can give him input. But the front office is going to do their job. They're going to make those evaluations. Travis Dunaway, find a way to get Armstead, Terron Armstead, and Ryan Jensen in free agency, then find your young position pieces in the draft. That would solidify the O-line for Fields. I mean, the problem with that, Travis, is Armstead and Jensen would pretty much take up all of your free agency money. Now, those two guys alone go a long way in fixing your O-line. Maybe it's Armstead at left tackle, Jensen at center, Jenkins at right tackle, Whitehair at left guard, and then you just plug and play with somebody in the draft at right guard. I get that mindset, but that means you're probably not signing any receivers that are any good. Would I sign one of those and then address some other needs? Yeah, probably, but I don't know if you can sign the best center and the best left tackle in free agency. Levante Rogers, if the Bears can get around $100 million in cap space, what should be their first position they tackle? Well, they're not going to get to $100 million in cap space. They have around 30 right now. There's no possible avenue to clear up 70 more million in cap space. But in terms of the first position they tackle, I think it's offensive line or receiver. I think those are the two areas I'm watching closely this offseason. Defensive tackle's a dark horse because they keep talking about that 3-tech spot. But I think keep an eye at offensive line and the receiver position. Now, name a player that you think the Bears should sign in free agency. Let us know down in the comments who you would like to sign. Devontae Adams, Chris Godwin, Terron Armstead, Ryan Jensen, Brian Allen, Michael Gallup. There's a ton of free agents. Stephon Gilmore. Plenty of big names out there. Who would you like to see the Bears sign in free agency? Realistic wide receiver signed by the Bears. The most realistic. Let's see. The most realistic wide receiver by the Bears. I'll say one of those tier 2 guys, like a Christian Kirk, a DJ Chark, a Michael Gallup, who am I missing in that tier? Mike Williams, although I wouldn't overpay for him. Yeah, I said Gallup. Alan Lazard is more of a third-tier guy. I think they'll get one of those guys probably. I can't say which one for sure, though. RJ Kingshire, love the show. Keep it going. Appreciate that. Luke Getzey says he could not fix Justin Fields. It was on social media. No, what was on social media is Booger McFarland saying he does not believe that Justin Fields can fix some of his shortcomings from throwing out of the pocket. That's what you probably saw. That is fake news. If you saw Luke Getsy saying he could outfix Justin Fields, that's just that has not been out there at all. Adam Roose, how do you feel about Skyy Moore, and where do you think he could go in the draft? So I've heard some Cooper Kupp comps. I forget what school he's out of, small school in the Midwest, I believe, but slot receiver, good hands, good route runner. I'd take him in the third round. I probably wouldn't spend my second round pick on him, but he's been getting some Cooper Kupp comparisons, so that's pretty interesting. But you never know how these guys are going to be once they get into the NFL. Super chat from Patrick Haugh. If you guys super chat, we will prioritize, though. Hashtag Bears. I like Brandon Scherff. I think he was a big reason why Washington had a good O-line. What's your thoughts on signing him? I've always liked Scherff. Good player. He's over 30, but I would be open to signing him on like a 2 or 3 year deal. Good player. He might want $18 to $20 million a year. Do I want to give a guard that? But the thing about him is you sign him, you know he's going to lock down that position. So that is the upside there. Do you guys own a Bears jersey? Type Y for yes. Type in for no. Let me know if you have one in the comments. And if you don't, well, we got you covered. Justin Fields jerseys only $90 at chatsports.com/fieldsjersey. That is chatsports.com/fieldsjersey. That link will be in the comments and in the description. Pick up this jersey today if you believe in QB1. $89.99, the best price out there. Chatsports.com/fieldsjersey. Another super chat from Alex. Kirk and Chark, but my pipe dream would be Godwin. It's kind of where I am. I would love Chris Godwin. I think he's a perfect fit for this offense. But if you got Christian Kirk and DJ Chark, you pair those guys with Mooney, maybe you don't have a true number one, but you got 3 like number 2. So I think that would be a pretty good trio on this offense. SoulSerch, hashtag Bears. Do you think the new front offense values David Montgomery? Ryan Poles said in his press conference he likes the running back room, so I would say yes. The question is how much. Do they value him enough to sign him to a contract extension? I don't know. Maybe, but also maybe not. So, I think we could see this year play out. Maybe they'll extend him before this season. It's hard to say for sure, but, today's NFL, you guys know how it goes with running backs. It's not a certain thing that teams will extend them. From lovedontgrowont trees. All right. Any chance the Bears take a look at Leo Chenal? Are you talking about? Oh, I know who you're talking about. Maybe. I've looked into him recently. He's an interesting guy to monitor over the next couple of weeks. I need to do more research on him, but I think it's possible. Ryan Ledger, any chance of the Packers game in London being against the Bears? Can't wait to see Fields and co. go back in London. Well, I guess it's possible. I highly doubt the NFL is going to put a Bears-Packers game in London. You never know, though. It's possible. I don't think that will be the case, though. And if it's not, that means that the Bears game against the Packers will be in Lambeau, and of course with the home game as well against the Packers. But what it really means is no Bears international games in 2022. Juan Espinoza, do you think Ryan Poles will try to bring A-Rob back, or is he going to let him walk? I'd say it's like 90% A-Rob walks, 10% he returns. There's a chance. I don't think it's a good chance. I think both sides kind of understand how this thing played out over the last 18 months, and they'll probably just let him go. You get a comp pick the next year, hopefully a third-round pick, and you go on your merry way. So that's kind of what I'm thinking is going to happen with Allen Robinson. Be sure to follow me on Instagram. We're closing in on 2,500 followers over there. I promise you guys, once we hit that threshold, we'll do another IG Live. Haven't gotten there yet. We're like 24 and change. I think we're like 60, 70 away. Give me a follow at HGramNFL. It's at HGramNFL. And you can slide in the DMs, ask me more Bears questions over there. From Ethan Eli, do you think most of our team this year will be filled out through free agency? Most? I mean, just mathematically, probably, because the Bears have, I think, like 26 players under contract, then a bunch of futures contracts. Maybe a couple of those guys make the final 53. And they only have 5 draft picks. So, yeah, I would say, most, but only because that's the that's where you can sign more players because you only have 5 draft picks. Sean the Savage, thoughts of Kirk, Chark, Mooney, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, or Lazard at receiver? I'll just rank these. Obviously, you have Mooney, so the other guys, if I had to rank them, I'd go Chark, Kirk, Lazard, Valdes-Scantling. So if I had to pick 2 of those, I'd pick Chark and Kirk. Dejuan Redmond, what left tackle are you signing? I think Cam Robinson's a guy to monitor. I don't think they'll overpay for Terron Armstead. Ryan Poles keeps talking about the second wave of free agency. And by the way, he mentioned that is, a couple of days into free agency. Doesn't mean they won't sign somebody on day one, but they're not going to overpay in that first wave. So, I think Armstead gets signed early. Someone's going to pay big. I don't think there'll be a team that does that. And then, monitor day 2, 3, 4 of free agency. SoulSerch, do you think the defensive coaches will put up with Eddie Jackson non-tackling theory? No. He's going to have to tackle better moving forward. Now, part of hiding that might just be him strictly going back to playing center field, which is when he was at his best anyway. Just be a deep cover guy to limit how often he has to tackle in space, but he's got to be a more willing tackler and a more physical player. Shadowmaster, do you think Ladarius Mack and Charles Snowden can play in the 4-3 if the Bears keep him? I don't think Ladarius Mack is an NFL, 53-man roster guy personally. I think they've been good to him because of who his brother is. He's worthy of a practice squad spot. And, if there's a lot of injuries, call him up. No big deal. I think Snowden, though, is a guy that I think is worthwhile. I think could be a sneaky 53-man roster guy. And I think he could play edge rusher in this 4-3 scheme. Josh Perando, last one on this mailbag. Who is your pick for center out there in free agency or on our roster? If it's on the roster currently, I would pick Cody Whitehair, the left guard. I would play him at center over Mustipher. If it's a free agent, sure, I'd love Ryan Jensen, but a cheaper option, Brian Allen from the Rams or Bozeman from the Ravens. Those are 2 names to monitor. I do think there will be a new center next season.